The issues that we need to face when we're going through a divorce or before we actually get divorced are social issues, physical issues, emotional, psychological issues, family issues, and financial issues. Each one of these categories are very significant. Each one of them has to be addressed. Socially, a person is suddenly thrust into being single. They might go to a restaurant. They're going by themselves if they don't go with a friend. So they're no longer a couple. Moving out of coupledom changes things significantly in your life. You also begin to understand who really are your friends, who is really going to back you up, who's going to be there for you, who's going to side with the other party, and there will be a rude awakening. And this is a time when, what I say to my clients is, this is a time when you have to clean the house. And you have to clean the house emotionally, and you have to say to yourself, okay, these are not my real friends. Who am I? And who are the people that want the best for me? And that's what you have to start looking for. You have to create a safety net around yourself so that you could function as a high caliber person. And so when you do meet someone ultimately and eventually, that the person you meet will be looking towards a high-functioning individual, not someone who's depressed, who's moping, who's stuck. The goal is to get unstuck, to move forward, and not to just be brooding all the time. When you're feeling depressed and angry and bitter, you're going to attract someone who's attracted to depressed, angry, and bitter. Now, I myself would not want a depressed, angry, and bitter person in my life because that is just going to feed the negativity in you. And you really want to stay away from someone who's toxic. Even though you might have been married to a toxic individual, you have to really start beginning to change the pattern of what you did, who you are, what you're looking for, and really who you want to become. The physical issues you need to face are twofold. Firstly, when someone's getting divorced, suddenly they might stop eating totally. And which is why somebody might come over to you and say, oh my God, you look great, you lost so much weight, what's going on? And you might say, it's a divorce diet. It's not because you choose not to eat, but I have clients who come into me and they haven't eaten in days. And I say to them, what did you eat today? And they say, I just can't eat. I cannot eat. And I tell them, you have to eat a banana. You have to eat something with potassium. You have to drink Gatorade. You have to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself on a high-protein diet. You must take care of yourself because if you don't have sustenance, you're not going to be able to get through this. And then I recommend that people see their physician because when your body is vulnerable and when you're feeling alone and frightened and scared, what also happens is that your body starts breaking down. And so you need to take care of yourself. You need to work out. I've actually told clients that I'd rather them go and work out or go for a run or walk than come and see me because sometimes I just think that somebody moving physically is just the most important thing that they do. You know, the other aspect of physicality of an individual is that when a person's in a marriage for 5 years, 10 years, sometimes even 2 years, or maybe after one baby or after no babies, they become complacent. They say, okay, he loves me anyway, or she loves me anyway. It doesn't matter if I eat all the ice cream. It doesn't matter if I eat the entire box of cookies. It doesn't matter because he just loves me anyway. But you know what? Then suddenly you're getting divorced and you look in the mirror and you say, oh my God. But then you say, you know what, so what? So I'll meet someone else who loves me anyway. But it's not like that. Because unless you feel wonderful about yourself, and unless you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, this is great, I really feel good about myself, you will attract someone who also doesn't feel so terrific about themselves. You will attract a different caliber of a person than you would. When you're feeling at the top of your game, you're going to attract someone who is similar. The emotional issues, dealing with the emotional issues and how to face those, that is really some of the most difficult issues you're going to have to deal with. Because the emotional issues, they're twofold. One is you're letting go of another human being that has been a part of your life for a very long time, or even maybe just for a year, but what you're also letting go of when you get divorced is the fantasy that this marriage was going to work. is the fantasy that everything that you had hoped for is suddenly now coming to a crumbling end. So now you have to deal with that, the impact that that has on your person, on your body, on your emotions, on your feelings, on your friend's perception of you, and on your perception of yourself. Am I a failure? Did I do something wrong? What did I do? Was it about me? Or is he just like that? Is she just like that? Maybe I could have worked a little harder. So now you start second guessing yourself. And when you need to be so strong to deal with these issues, you've had so much time in your marriage that you might have been torn down or put down by that person that you don't really have the wherewithal to stand up to what you're going to go through. So the emotional issues that you're going to have to deal with are, how can I strengthen myself emotionally? How can I get together a little army of people that will help me to create a better me so that I could function in this world? How can I figure out what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, what my goals are? How can I do that and move forward? No matter what kind of marriage you have, and no matter what kind of marriage you might have had, you're going to be filled with a lot of emotions that are not so pleasant. And if you keep all those feelings harbored inside of yourself, you're going to keep all the anger wrapped up in yourself. If you're going to keep the resentment, if you're going to keep the question marks of, am I a good person? Did I do something wrong? What did I do wrong? What did he do wrong? What did we do wrong together? If you're going to keep second guessing yourself and you're not going to work towards fixing yourself, it's going to be problematic. So the question then becomes, how can I fix myself? One of the ways that you have to do that, other than having friends to talk to, is maybe to be in a group situation. Group therapy for divorces is very, very powerful. What happens in a group situation is that you understand the universality of the problem, so that there's someone who's standing across from you in that group, and suddenly he's talking about what he went through, and you say to yourself, oh my God, I went through the same thing. And then someone on the other side of the room says, really? I went through the same thing. I thought that was just unique to me. And then you realize that it's all of you have very similar things going on, and that you can all be a support to each other. Family issues is actually one of the most significant. And the reason family issues is so important is because family might be why you got married. Family might be why you stay in a marriage that might have been over after 2 years, and you stay for 25 years waiting for the children to be old enough to move out. But family is also a reason why you ultimately leave the marriage. And the reason you leave the marriage for family is if you have a loveless marriage, which is why most people get divorced. If you have no passion, no love, you have no intimacy with your partner, and the marriage feels dead, if that's happening, your children, you become a role model for a lifeless, loveless marriage. And that's a frightening thing. So that you begin to raise children that don't even know what intimacy is. They don't even know what it looks like. So that if they do meet someone down the road who's cold and distant, then they say, oh, this is okay, because this feels familiar to me. This is just like my parents. Not a good thing. So that's why family is very important. And then you really have to look at, if you have children, if you have a whole house full of children, and then you remarry, you're going to have a blended family. So what do we know about blended families? We don't know a lot. We know that the Brady Bunch was not real, that there is no happy, tra-la, lovely, loving family where 5 and 5 get together and make a great, great family. That does not exist. And if it does exist, call me up. Because I've never seen it myself. It takes a lot of work, and the kids really need to understand that when the parents remarry and they love each other, that's really, really important. And the kids need to understand that the parents are not divorcing them, and they need not to take sides, and the parents need not to schlep them in to both sides. They need to say, I love you, we're not getting divorced because of you, we will never divorce you, you are our children, but I love this person that I'm marrying, and I'd like you to know that we're going to be a happy family. And then they have to start doing work. And it's a lot of work. To think it's not a lot of work is a major, major, major mistake. You're a couple. You're bringing in 2 salaries. Or maybe you're not bringing in two salaries. Maybe there's only one salary coming in. And maybe the salary that's coming in has been your husband's or your wife. And maybe one of you have never worked. And you might say, well, so what? So I'll get alimony, I'll get a great lawyer. Very important to get a great lawyer. But the goal of getting a great lawyer is not to massacre the person. It's to get a really good deal for you so that you could function as a terrific human being in our society. It's not so that you could bite his head off, because then you're going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and you're giving it to a stranger. You're giving it to a lawyer when that money could go into a college fund, that money could go into your wardrobe, that money could go into furnishing your home. So the idea is, I realize that I'm going to now have to deal with financial issues. What can I do to make myself, how can I monetize myself? What can I do here? What can I work with? What can I sell? What can I be? Who can I become? So you're going to have to start thinking of, how can I have money coming in? And it's, again, it's about taking risks, and it's about doing something you might never have done before. One or two things that I would say to someone who is getting divorced. I'd say forewarned is forearmed. Know exactly what you're going to be going through. Understand that you're going to be unhinged. Understand that your friends are going to change, your environment is going to change, and it might be scary, but it does not mean it's for the worse. It might be the most amazing, wonderful thing you've ever done in your life. It might be the first time that you are fulfilling your goals, your dreams, your expectations. Not your parents who had an expectation of who you should marry, what you should do, where you should live. This is the first time that you could actually do what you want to do from the inside out. And the other thing that I really want to say to people is, this is the time that you need to have fun. And I'm not saying fun doesn't mean sleeping around. Fun means enjoying your life, finding joy in your life. How many people do you know who wake up in the morning and feel a sense of joy? There are not a lot of people like that. And following your passion. What makes you feel alive? What makes you feel great? What makes you say, oh my God, I love life? That's where you need to go with this. You can't get stuck. You can't get hunkered down in your bed. You have to force yourself to get up. You have to force yourself to walk. You have to look at the birds. You have to look at the rainbows. And I'm really not kidding. You really have to have fun, because life can be really, really beautiful.